What's up, y'all? It is Childlike Kate here with a new video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about week 2 at Revature. So if you want to find out what that was like, stay tuned. Okay, so before we get into it, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Journey 313. Thanks to you, I am here making this video today. He or she asked, "Where are you?" And that is a wonderful question. I have been buried in all the work assignments because I've had a lot to do and a lot to catch up on top of like learning new things, which we will talk about a little bit today. So I haven't been as consistent with making YouTube videos as I would have liked, but if you follow me over on Twitter at Childlike Kate, there I post a little bit more regularly about the process and like what's going on. So if you would like more regular updates, go follow me on Twitter at Childlike Kate. Okay, so let's talk about week 2 in Revature training. So we started off week 2 with our weekly QC and quiz, which is the first time that we've had it during this training. The weekly QC and quiz are always on the information that you learned in the week prior. And basically, these are just assessments to evaluate how you are learning the information, or if you're processing and retaining it, and if you would be able to explain concepts if asked about them in an interview. So we start off the day with a quiz, and it pretty much just has questions about everything that we learned in the first week. There is a minimal score that you need to pass, but these quiz scores are only for the trainer to look at how you are doing and see if she needs to make any adjustments. So the quiz scores aren't used against you. It's just a gauge of how well training is going for each person, or if they really understand concepts. And then QC started in the afternoon after lunch, and it took basically the rest of the evening until we got off work. So how QC goes is they break you up into small groups of 4 to 5 people. So a trainer from a different training group and also a person from QC come into the small groups and ask you questions based on the information that you learned the week prior. They do want your cameras on so that they can see if you are referencing any materials, trying to look stuff up or anything like that, maybe looking through notes if you're a person who takes notes, because this is supposed to be a closed resource assessment, just going off of what you know for yourself. So everybody gets different questions, and you can hear the other people's questions. And what sucks is somebody might get questions that you really understand, and then you get questions that you cannot explain. Like, I kind of get it, but I can't really explain it when asked about it. So QCs are rated according to color. There is red, orange, yellow, lime green, and green. Red is you flat out like could not answer any questions. You said I don't know, or you cheated, which is an automatic red. Orange is below average. You missed most of your questions, so there's work to be done. Average, which is yellow, means you missed some of your questions, but you also got some right. Lime green is you answered all of your questions, but you were maybe a little bit hesitant or unsure in your answers. Maybe you didn't show enough confidence. And green is that you answered all of your questions, you knew the material well, and you were confident in your answers. So what they don't tell you is that there is also a blue, which comes after green. And I learned about this from watching Sir Pinkbeard's video, but my trainer actually slipped up and mentioned it in a few weeks ago. And I don't know if it's an old scoring system or if it's just that they don't tell you about it, but I think it's that they keep it off the radar until like staging or after the fact. But blue means that you're knocking it out of the park every time, and they are considering using you as a trainer for future Revature associates. So during week 1's QC, we were asked questions about working in the terminal, bash scripting, things of that nature. and I scored a yellow. The questions that I missed were about syncing a local repository to the remote, and I missed that question because I started combining the concepts of a get pull and a pull request, and then I missed a question about merge conflicts because I just didn't study that. I somehow skipped over it because I went back and looked at my notes after the QC, and I did see where my trainer talked about it, but I just somehow did not gather that information in my studying. So I got a yellow that week, but I felt good coming out of it, and I understood why I missed what I missed, so it was fine. The quiz, I definitely passed that week. I think I got like a 90, and you needed at least a 67 to pass maybe. So I did really well with the material from the first week. And that was pretty much how Monday went. We didn't learn any new material at all on Monday. It was the quiz for the first half of the day, and then we went over the quiz and some other things. The second half of the day was QC because they go from small group to small group, and we had so many small groups, and it can take a lot of time because each person answers a number of questions individually. So we picked up with learning on Tuesday, and for week 2 we started learning about the .NET environment and working with C#, which is the core language for my training group. We are learning in the system, they have it listed as .NET Extended, so we have learned a lot of technologies and things because I'm actually recording this video on week 8. I believe we're in week 8. So we have gone over a lot and we ain't done. But yeah, our core language is C#. So what we learned in week 2, I have it written down, so I'm gonna just go ahead and read my notes. We learned about data types, creating projects, files, etc. in .NET, the compilation process, working with exceptions, arrays, saving to the file, JSON, and using interfaces for dependency injection. So we have a demo, and then we have a presentation or a PowerPoint that goes over the topics in detail about what everything is and gives you definitions of the concepts, things like that. So this week is when we began to build an app called Restaurant Reviews, and it basically works like a Yelp where you can enter new restaurants, leave a rating and a review. You should be able to view all the restaurants that are there, etc. We started building that as a console application, and as the weeks have progressed and we've learned new information and new technologies, we've just added on to this same application or have changed it from being a console application to a web API. So basically we've been working with the same application throughout the process, as this is what we use to like demo and learn. You can follow along with the trainer and build it, or you can just watch and just take in the information and maybe build it later. But the demos have really helped to kind of model the projects that we have done so far. Also, during this week, we learned what the specifications for our very first project, P0, were going to be. So for this project, we had to build a console application for a store where there is a manager who could add new stores, add inventory, things like that. Then the customer can go into the store, create a profile, log in, can shop and check out, and be able to check their order history. So there were like certain features that need to be implemented in this store application, and also certain technologies that needed to be used. So we had to use C#, there had to be XML documentation, the data had to be persisted, not like hard coded into the application. So we had to use a database, a relational database. We used SQL Server. What else? Oh, there also had to be logging and unit testing. So we were given the specifications of what our first project would be, and I don't think we were necessarily expected to start on it because we had about 4 to 5 weeks and we still had a lot of the information to learn, because so far all we had learned in training was a little bit of C#, not everything that we needed to know to build the app yet. I don't think she necessarily expected us to start during this first week. Not to mention that this week ended on Friday, December 17th, And my birthday, it was Saturday, December 18th, and I had plans, so I had no intentions of starting my project that weekend. Also, during this week, we received our first what our trainer calls a reporting project. So she gave us a topic, and each group had to present on that topic to teach it to the whole class. So this week we did our reporting projects on different collections. My group did Q and Stack. So we got this project on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then we were to report and present to the rest of the group or the class or cohort on first thing Friday morning. Because I was in a group where two of the guys were kind of like battling ego, I guess you would say, I kind of took on that first initial part of the project of like, we all did research. I created like a document and for us to share and for everyone to post their findings and their resources. And then I took everybody's information and created an initial visual aid. And then we came together the next day and then kind of spread that out to where everybody had their own sheet or own page to present for our presentation. Then we practiced our presentation, and one guy had a demonstration because that was a requirement, and then we presented it to the class on Friday. I keep saying class, but one thing that our trainer was adamant about, or is adamant about, is that this is not school. So like, this is a job. So she doesn't call it class. We don't get grades. There's something else, like another word that she avoids using, just so it's, you know, that this is not school, this is work. And so after these group presentations, we had our first Hacker Rank challenge, and it's basically you have two questions. There's an easier question to kind of warm you up and get you started, and then a second question that's supposed to be a little more difficult, and it's based off of the information that you've learned so far. So it was a C# assessment, and I want to say that we had a question dealing with arrays. Yeah, the challenge wasn't too difficult. I think we probably had to like get a sum for the items in the array. So how did I feel at the end of week 2? I still felt pretty good about, you know, how the process was going. I was learning the information well. No, I didn't perform as well on my QC as I'd wanted, but again, I knew why I missed the questions that I did, and it made sense to me, and I understood after the fact what would have been the correct answer. So since I was able to make those clarifications for myself, I felt good about where I was. Also, during the first 2 weeks, I had begun to build a habit of kind of staying online until I had finished what I was working on. So our work day together is only 7 hours, and usually we have like 2 hours to do what we need to do for ourselves. But then you have that extra free hour. So I had built the habit of using that extra free hour, typically right after work. I might take like a 15-minute break, get some food or something, go clean the dishes or something, and then come back and work, finish building whatever application we were working on or our group reporting project. Like, I was already in the habit of making that practice of doing the extra work, because I knew later on down the road there would probably come a time where I needed to work like even more than an hour to work on my project or really understand a concept that wasn't clicking for me at the time. I kind of anticipated that that time would come. So, you know, I tried to build that habit early on. So far, so good. Now, as I mentioned in the first video, I did end up catching COVID, and that happened the weekend of me celebrating my birthday. So that's when things kind of picked up. I kind of fell behind at work. I wasn't able to keep up with YouTube videos how I wanted to, so everything just kind of went to hell basically after I caught COVID, and I'll go into more detail about that in the next video. So that's pretty much a recap of how this week went, starting to learn C#, having our first assessments, having our first Hacker Rank challenge, and just getting into the swing of things with this revature training. So with all of that being said, I'm curious to know, based off of what you've heard so far of the past 2 weeks, or over the past 2 videos of revature training, do you think that this training is something that you could handle for yourself? I'd like to hear about it in the comments. Also, if there are any other specific questions that you would like me to address in future videos, you can go ahead and drop that in the comments below. I really do appreciate being able to engage with everyone and answer your questions, even on Twitter. So like I said, I'm a little more active on there because it's short form and I don't have to like shoot a video, edit, all that. So again, for more regular updates, you can follow me there, but you can also hit me up there if you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Well, that is it for this video going over week 2 of working with revature. So if you would like to remain up to date and hear about how the rest of this process goes, or has gone, because we are like 8 weeks in now at this point, almost 9, yeah, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you are alerted when I upload new videos. And don't forget to hit the like button. That does help the YouTube algorithm to want to share the video with other people who might be wanting to know about revature training. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close out this video. Love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.